This is an interview with Reverend Erwin Wilkerson Sr. for the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute's Oral History Project. I'm Dr. Horace Huntley. We are presently at the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. Today is January 29th, 1997. Reverend Wilkerson, I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come and talk with us today.
Yes.
Just want to start by asking you a general question about your family. Were your mother and father, were they from Birmingham originally?
Yes, they were from Birmingham.
So both from Birmingham.
Yes.
Okay. And you, of course, were born in Birmingham.
Right.
What neighborhood you grew up in?
Southside.
Southside. Okay. How many brothers and sisters do you have?
We have one sister and three brothers.
And where did you fit into that scheme? Were you the youngest or the oldest?
No, I have one younger than myself. So
Okay.
they have two older and then two younger. The girl was in the middle.
Oh, okay. Your parents, how much schooling did they have?
Not very much.
Mhm.
My dad was telling us all the time he started in school, in grade school,
Mhm.
but he had to stop in work.
Right. Okay.
My mother, she didn't go that far. She didn't finish high school.
Okay. What kind of work did your mother work outside of the home?
No, she was that's a
Housewife.
Housewife.
Okay. And what about your father? What kind of work did you do?
My father was an iceman.
Oh, okay.
But my mother did, he did say that she worked at the steel plant for a little while.
He did or she did?
She did.
What did she do at the steel?
When they were making the faucets or the little pipe.
Oh, okay. So that was for a brief period?
For a brief period.
So your father then worked for himself? Was he,
He worked for Purity Ice Company.
Oh, he did? Okay. Did he deliver ice?
He delivered ice from starting out with the wagon, the horse and wagon,
Mm-hmm.
on until they got the trucks.
Right. Oh, okay. All right. What do you remember about those days? Did he ever come by the house to pick you up or anything? You ride with him?
Sometimes, but my older brother did most of it.
Right.
Riding with me, work with him.
Mm-hmm.
My oldest brother, which is now deceased, he used to work with my dad a lot.
I see. What school did you start first grade in?
W.C. Davis.
W.C. Davis.
Yeah.
What do you remember about W.C. Davis?
Well, W.C. Davis was more like a family-oriented thing. Everybody in the neighborhood knew everything because our custodian and lunchroom with all of us attended the same churches and lived in the same neighborhoods.
Right. Where was Davis School? Oh, Davis down
On the south side.
south side, way down like
29th Street.
29th, that's right, and 3rd or 4th Avenue.
4th Avenue.
Right. Okay, all right. So you at Davis when it was really Davis
It
School?
was really Davis School.
Yes, okay. Now it is a number of offices in there, but it's not a school.
Not a school.
Building, so to speak, yes. After Davis, did you go to, what school did you go to after?
Alberta Shields in East Birmingham.
Shield, okay. Did your family move to East Birmingham?
Yes, we moved to East Birmingham from the south side.
Okay, well, tell me, what was like living on the south side?
As I said, it was just like family. Everyone knew everyone else, and we shared everything.
Yeah.
The kids now still talk about my mother because they call her Miss Hattie. Everybody knew Miss Hattie because if we didn't wait, she didn't wait to serve dinner. You know, a lot of people do now. They wait till the kids leave before they serve dinner.
Right.
Everyone sit down and eat. I don't care who's there.
Everybody
ate, whatever it was. You know, sometimes it wasn't much, but.
Mm-hmm. So, my grandmother was called Miss Annie.
Okay.
In the same kind of situation.
Right.
Where everybody usually congregated at our house. You know,
Okay.
seems it's the same thing yours. What was the move like from the south side to East Birmingham?
Well, it was a change. It really was a change because East Birmingham, we were bothered with a lot of floods in East Birmingham. And the neighborhood was still the same. The neighborhood was nice. People there were nice.
Right. What was the difference in Davis School and Shields School?
Getting adjusted because you had to make new friends all over again. And like I said, everyone there, you had people living in Cottageville or Greenwood, but right around our neighborhood wasn't many kids back there. So
Right.
we all play together and be real friendly.
How did you get back and forth to school when you were at Davis?
A walk.
You walked?
Yeah.
Okay. How far did you live from school?
I lived on 25th Street and 3rd Avenue, so it's about 4 blocks.
It's not too far.
Right.
Was it the same thing at Shields? Did you walk to school?
Yes, I walked to school from
You
Shields.
lived in
Down the street.
down the street. Okay. And from Shields, where did you
From Alabama to Shields, I graduated from Shields.
go? Okay.
Oh,
And then to high school,
High school, I went to Carver High
Carver.
in
Okay.
Cottageville.
Okay. Now that was not close enough to walk, was it?
Yes.
It was.
Oh, yeah. We had fun walking from East Birmingham to Cottageville to go across the tracks. It was a shortcut to Cottageville.
Right. What was it like going to Carver High School back in the 60s, right?
Right. It was nice. I enjoyed Carver High School. I really hated when I had to transfer when we moved to Homewood. I had to leave.
Transferred.
I transferred from Carver to Rosedale High School
Oh, okay.
where I finished. But
How would you compare those two schools?
Rosedale, well, Carver were friends that I grew up with. Rosedale was friends that I learned to love. Now they accepted me like I had been in Homewood all my life.
Is that right?
And we're still fellowship now.
Rosedale has a pretty large organization in terms of reunions.
Right. And Rosedale was like a neighborhood. It was a neighborhood in which people grew up.
Did you participate in any extracurricular activities while in high school?
Yes, I sang in the choir at Rosedale. And we had a little group, a little rock group that we sang, my brother and I, some more fellas.
Oh, okay. What was the group called?
It was called the Opals.
Opal.
Yeah, and we really enjoyed singing.
What kind of music?
It was mostly rock music. What they call it, rhythm and blues.
Yeah, rhythm and blues. It
Yeah.
wasn't rock at that
No,
time.
it was rhythm and blues then.
Yeah.
And we would sing Temptations and the Four Tops,
Yeah.
Smokey Robinson, Miracles.
Yeah.
We had a chance to sing in some clubs and all.
Is that right? Oh, yeah. How long did you do
Until I finished high school.
that?
And then my youngest brother went off into the service, which he finished a couple of years after that.
Right.
And some of the other guys, they moved out of town,
Yeah.
got married and all,
So the group just sort of
so.
disintegrated.
Right, just sort of just.
Well, what did you do after high school?
Well, from high school, I got a job as a cook at Stanford University.
Okay.
But I started out as a dish hall,
Uh-huh.
as a dishwasher. And one day the cook didn't show up. And the manager asked me, could I cook? And I said, yes. I was always told to say yes. You know, because if you want a job, then you learn to do different things, various things. So I started cooking and I ended up being a chef cook after that.
Okay.
And from Sanford, I went on to Continental Cafeteria as a cook.
Okay. So I need to visit you sometime then.
Oh, you're welcome to.
Prior to your graduating from high school, you participated in the movement.
Yes, I did.
How did that start? How did you get involved in the movement?
My parents were involved. My dad and my mother.
Okay, at what level were they involved? Did they attend all of the meetings?
Attended all the meetings, sung in the choir, participated in all the marches.
Yeah. Okay, so you and your other brothers and sisters, were all of you involved?
Myself and my younger brother, my mom and dad.
Oh, okay. You attended mass meetings, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Can you explain to me what a mass meeting was like?
It was very emotional. And it was very, being a teenager, it was exciting. And it was something that showed togetherness. Something I think we've lost now. But then it was exciting, and then it was kind of scary at times because you get bomb threats and all.
You mean you got threats
Threats
at the
and
church?
Someone would call and say,
At your home?
At the
At the church, yeah.
You know, all the time you hear something about a bomb threat.
Right.
But,
Did that frighten
I don't think we even thought that much about it now. I mean, then we was all into it, the songs and the calls.
you? So I know in many cases, the bomb threats, the dogs and water hoses, all of those things were designed to keep you away from being involved in the movement. And it appeared that in many cases it worked just the opposite.
They did.
It attracted people as a result. Demonstrations, did you participate in demonstrations?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember the first time that you demonstrated?
Yes. The lunch counter, downtown Birmingham, we marched around and singing. And that's when I got
What
arrested.
store?
H.L. Green.
Okay.
The lunch counter there, and we got arrested.
Did you sit at the lunch counter or
We just marched around the store and sing
inside,
outside.
outside the store? Okay. And what happened?
They came up with police and arrested us and charged us with parading without a permit. And it was frightening because the way they was handling us. They wasn't nice. They wasn't nice at all. They piled all us in the paddy wagon the minute they could get in there. And one they couldn't shell in with the hand, they would shell in with their feet.
Is that right?
It was girls and boys.
Okay. Now you are a high school student at the time.
Right.
So they put you in the paddy wagon, and then where did they take you from there?
Now that was another frightening thing. Because like I said, you had so much going on then, and they rode us around all day,
Just rode you around.
trying to find places to put us in.
Okay, this is a time at the height of the movement. Then.
Right.
Many of the jails were filled.
Right, when they were filled. And they were trying to put us in, find a place for us.
Where do you remember where they took you?
Well, I'm talking about the various places.
Right.
The city jail, the county jail, the juvenile court, the fairground. My mother ended up in the fairground in one of those animal cages.
Were you arrested? Were you demonstrating with your parents at the time?
Well, we all left the church together, but we were in different areas.
I see.
But my mother and father ended up at the fairground.
Okay.
Our youngest brother ended up at the juvenile court. And I finally that night, I was at Bessemer County Jail.
Oh, that's where you ended up.
That's where I ended up, Bessemer County Jail.
Now, did you have anybody that demonstrated with you that you knew?
My cousin.
And you and your cousin of them were together in Bessemer? Right. How long did you remain there?
7 days and 6 nights. We used to call that prison talk. 7 days, 6 nights. Because we got out before the night.
Tell me, what was that experience like?
We, lunch was good. The breakfast was served, biscuit, and grits. And the grits was just like the biscuit.
Is that right?
Yes.
Did you have any encounters while you were in there with anyone or any of the guards?
I had one encounter. There was another guy in there with us. And I was a little small guy, and my cousin, but this guy was a little heavy guy. And he had made plans they were going to attack him or something. So I told him, I said, don't you go, let's go see that, because they're planning to,
Were these other demonstrators that were planning to attack?
Well, I don't know, because they had different guys in there, so I don't know we were all demonstrators, because some of the guys I didn't know.
Okay, so you were in with just the regular
guys, right? Some of the guys I didn't know.
Okay.
And maybe they were picked up somewhere else.
How did you know that they were going to attack?
Because I heard them talking.
Okay.
And we were like in the day room. And so that evening, they called me into the cell. They said, come here. And they did something called a blanket party. So they threw the blankets over my head and they hit me with belts.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So these were Were they older guys, or do you remember?
I
Your
don't
age?
remember exactly also my age because, but they were, like I said, I didn't know.
So that is what, after that happened, was
Things
that the
just-
first day or first couple of days that you were there, do you remember?
I don't know exactly how long I had been in there. But it didn't, nothing else. I think it was just, guys were just being, just gangsters or kind of rough, I guess. I guess that's,
Yeah, I can remember that.
I can't explain, why they were doing that. That's,
Were you the only one that they did that to?
yeah, I'm the only one that got,
It's all right.
yeah.
What did the others do while that was going on?
Yeah, well, it was more than one guy doing it. Like I said, it was a cell. They called me to a cell.
Well, okay. All right. But your cousin wasn't in that general area at the time.
No, but he came in and told me, don't do that because help me out. But I didn't get any medical help because I kind of covered myself up and ran out. But it was a frightening experience.
Right.
And all the while we were there, you could hear the noise and people hollering and stuff from other areas of the. So I don't know if they were doing that to scare us or what, but you could hear all the nights and noise.
Do you have any idea how many were demonstrators that were there and how many were regular inmates?
No,
There was no way to
there
know.
was no way to know.
That could be frightening.
Yes, it was. And I think another thing too, coming from a home where it was so much love and togetherness, and then you go into this place, but, the cause was more important.
Were there any encounters with any of the jailers, police during that time? Did you do any work? What did you do all day?
We just sit in the day room. We go out in the day room and sit and we go back to our cell.
Were there any singing done while you were there?
Yes.
Any demonstrations?
Yes, and singing. Well, we sang while we were in jail. And another thing I tell my children that I could always tell when that Sunday came. It's just something about that Sunday.
How did you tell?
It's just something about Sunday. I guess growing up in a religious home, it's just something about Sunday. There's something about that day just seems different from any other day. And another thing that I learned how to do is iron my clothes.
While in jail?
Yes. That's we lay our pants on the table and just keep rubbing and rubbing and rubbing and rubbing, just rubbing.
You say you were there for 7 nights?
Yeah, for 7 days.
7 days and 6
We got out on
nights.
the 7th night. When I got out.
What were the circumstances of your getting out?
My parents came and got me. They had left them out early.
Oh, okay. They got out the same day? Were they
I don't
in
know
as
what-
long as you were?
I don't know. I think so, but I'm not sure because when they came and got me out.
So this was really a family affair then?
Yes.
You didn't have any repercussions when you got back home because you had demonstrated, as some other people have testified, that they would sneak off from school, or parents didn't want them involved.
No, we had already decided that we would stay out of school that day and go down and demonstrate.
And your parents were right there with you when you made that decision to go. Well, when you returned to school, what was the reception like?
They were jokes and jailbird, but all in all, I think we were kind of receptive. Their reception was pretty good reception. At first, they were saying they would expel the one that didn't come to school, or one that took out left school early. So I think to alleviate that, we decided just not to go that day. But I think all that changed after.
What did any teachers ever say anything to you about demonstrating?
No, there was one teacher. There was more than one teacher. But a lot of them would talk about it, and they thought about what we were doing, but they knew they couldn't do it. They said they couldn't because they just out their jobs.
Right.
But a lot of them wanted to.
Yeah.
A lot of kids wanted to.
Were there many students from Roseville that participated?
Well, I was at Carver at the time.
Oh, you were at Carver at the time?
Right.
Okay.
I was in East Birmingham.
Okay. Well, were there many from Carver?
There were quite a few. That's right.
Because I've talked with people from Carver, and they said at one point, a number of the civil rights workers would come out and they would talk to them and try to entice them to come. And I think one or two people have testified that they actually left school as a result of the civil rights workers coming in to talk with them about, well, not coming into the school, but out on the sidewalk and in the street. Talking, and people then would come out of, students would come out of the school. You never
They
had
weren't allowed to.
Yeah, no, they were not allowed
to
to
schools.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, by me being so active in it, I attended all the meetings, most of them. We talked during the meetings and we made our decisions then.
Right. Were you, close friends of yours involved with you at the meetings?
Yes, I have some of my church members now that were involved.
That were involved.
In the demonstration that got arrested.
So got arrested with you?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. Looking back on that, if there was a movement going on now with the same kind of situation, would you encourage your children to participate?
Yes. Yes.
Why would you?
Because I think it's a wise thing, and then, as now, I still believe that God will protect. Now, I wouldn't try to force them into it, but I've always talked to them over the years about it, to let them know what had happened, and what I went through, and what we went through as a race, and then as young people, teenagers. So I would kind of talk to them.
Do you think that most other parents are talking with their children about the movement the way that you are doing with your children?
I don't think enough of them.
Why do you think not?
I think some of them will overcome. Some people I think want to forget, but it's hard to forget. You can't forget that because it's still around. It's maybe not as noticeable now, but it's still around. And I'm not saying that things are as bad as they were then, but you still got to look and see that things are not as good as they could be. And if parents would talk more to their kids about their past, see, we fail a lot of times to let our kids know what we went through, not only in the march but in life. And see, we have kids now that they don't know what it is to struggle. See, I remember when Mom said bread and butter, come to supper was bread and butter, and kids don't know anything about that. We give them everything now, so they don't know anything about just having a pot of greens and some cornbread for a meal, of beans and cornbread. What we used to call sweetened water.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Absolutely.
Sweetened water. So now kids are just they need to know about those things, and I think they would really appreciate it more.
Yeah, that's interesting because as you talk, it brought back memories of those days, having pot liquor.
Right.
And cornbread.
That's right.
And getting the cornbread out of the oven and cutting it and putting butter
in it. That's right.
Yeah.
And sometimes that was a meal.
That's right.
A lot of times that was a meal. Because like I said, my dad was an iceman. He worked for the company, and then they wasn't paying much then because of his educational background and plus. But he still made ends meet. And my mother had to say that no one knows what's in your stomach but you.
That's it.
If you're full, And I still try to keep that in my mind now that no one knows what goes on in there. And if you can come out there with a smile, even when things are going rough, you know, you can always smile because you see them another day.
Growing up in Birmingham in the 50s and 60s, did you ever encounter any racial problems personally?
Yeah, you know, we call nigger and spit on and guys just ride by and throw at us and all that. But we still held on. We still held on.
Did you ever encounter any problems with police other than the demonstrations?
Yeah, one night, we were sitting on the porch with a friend of mine, and they came by, and they were shooting. And I think about that now, and I know that nothing but God kept us there, because you could hear the bullets coming by. And it was the police shooting at someone, but they didn't have no respect for, you know, who was sitting on the porch or who was out in the yard. And if they came to arrest someone or to harass someone, if you were there, you go back and they give it up. And I can remember one time when they had declared martial law or something, and I was coming in, and I was on my porch, and I was told to come off my porch, to bag off my porch, and let me see your identification. And I went to get my identification. It said, easy, nigga. And the ones that were saying was not in uniform, so I said, something like martial law. So here I am.
When was this? Was this during the time that
This was after that time.
after that time? Do you remember the bombing of 16th Street?
Yes.
Do you
One of the
remember
little girls' mother was my teacher. Miss Leslie. Yes, I remember that. It was a sad occasion. To think someone could be that low, that mean. But then I look at today's time and people are still mean. You know, they're still that mean. They don't care who's there, who they're killing. They just,
What do you remember about that Sunday morning?
I was at church.
Did you hear
Yeah.
the explosion?
No, I was at my church, which was Zion Star Missionary Baptist Church. And
Where was that? What community was that?
that was South.
South.
Yes. And after we heard about it, it just was, because we know the same room. We had always come to that church for our meetings,
Right.
or wherever we could meet. But 16 people at the church that we would always meet. And like I said, I knew Mrs. Wesley. And
Where did she teach? What school?
she taught at Pepsi Davis. And it was just a sad day. They talk about Black Sunday and all that, but that was a sad day. And when I come to the Civil Rights Museum now, I brought my children there, and we walk through it, and always bring tears to mind. To think that someone could be that mean.
Did you attend even the funerals?
Yes, and it was a packed house, but I couldn't expect anything less than that. But
Where were the funerals? 6th Avenue?
6th Avenue again. I don't know if all of them were there.
Yeah. I don't think all of them did.
No.
I think maybe one of them was at a was not at the same.
Right. I know that one of the girls buried out here, but the cemetery was long.
Right.
Cemetery. before. My mother was also buried out there.
Hmm.
My mother-in-law.
That's how would you characterize Birmingham during the time that you were growing up?
Okay, right. If I say my neighborhood, then I would say that friendly, family oriented, plenty of love, togetherness, supportive. Um, but if I go out of that and go and say Birmingham as a whole, it was a very segregated place. A place where you just wouldn't couldn't believe that things would happen. Things would happen the way they were happening. Because I remember as a child going to a place called Maylene or Helena. I had a cousin that lived there. We used to go there and play. And I have the guys at work laughing now that myself and my brother, we used to go there every summer. And
Leaving Alabama?
right, Maylene. And the little white boy and all, we used to play out there in the pasture and throw cow chips at each other. And then when you come back to Birmingham, you know, it's something altogether different. I remember riding the bus and having to get up and sit on the back of the bus or stand up. Just so.
What does your children say when you tell them about this?
It's hard, Dad. You went through all that. You know, they can't comprehend it. They just can't. What do you feel? Like, what do you feel? You scared? Did you really sit on the back of the bus? Oh, I don't think I could have done that. You know, did you let them spit on you and call you a man? I don't think I could have done that. But the main purpose of the movement was nonviolence. And if I had to do it again, I would.
Was your church involved?
Yes, my church was involved. My pastor was very much involved.
Who was the pastor?
Pastor then is Reverend Pfeiffer.
Reverend Pfeiffer.
Okay, Reverend Calloway came on in 1960. See, he came in 1963, Reverend Calloway. He was very much involved. Also, he became our pastor.
Was your church one of the churches where they have mass meetings?
Occasionally. Okay. Like we had them all over the place.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that we have not touched on that you would like for your children to know about the movement, about growing up in Birmingham, or whatever?
Well, I would like for my children to know that then there was much love. And not only in the house, but it was love everywhere. And everybody was everybody else's parent. You know, if you did wrong down the street, you got whipped, and then you got home, you got another one. And you couldn't come home and tell Mom that I didn't do this. Because the first thing you said, you calling this so-and-so a lie? And then you got a whooping. And I thank God for sparing me. And I think he had a purpose for doing it. I know he had a purpose for doing it. Because now, being in the ministry, I still would like to do all I can. And I work with my job, Board of Education, and all, helping support the schools and the kids and all. And I tell my children, I tell every teenager, or even one I can talk to, that take God everywhere you go. To your parties, take him, because he's not a wallflower. Take him everywhere, because you need him everywhere. You know, he's there, he's he's everywhere, but you have to accept it. You know, and one thing in closing, that, and this was my first initial sermon, and God gave me that message, and it was DRUG, drug. And with everything that's going on today, we say it's drug related, everything's bad, it's drug related. But if you get hooked on this drug, good things happen. And that's daily reverence unto God. And I believe in that, and I try to live that. I try to raise my family.
How long have you been at the board?
I've been at the board 28 years.
And what capacity are you working
I'm in the printing department.
in? So, did you start in the printing department?
No, that's another thing. I started out in, as a janitor's helper. And then when they started the program, which was a curriculum program, when they started it, and I started out as a printer. And I learned how to operate the press on the job. And after working there for so many years, I decided to go to Best Tech and increase my skills. So I went from a cook to a printer. So, but I've been there as long and I enjoy my job.
So, you're then making that transition from a cook to a printer. How was that? How was that transition? I know you did janitorial work in between there, but it was from one situation to the other.
I had always said that I wanted to be an artist. From a child, I would always draw or doodle or something. And so I decided when the job came open for a friend of my supervisor then, said he was going to get a press and he was going to do all the printing, in-house printing. He said, I want you to write everything you can about that print. And I was one that would try, you know, and I like I said, I try to instill in my kids now, whatever it is, try. Try. Never say never.
That's right.
You know, because you don't know where you have to fall back on.
Reverend Wilkerson, I want to thank you for
Thank
taking
you.
time out of your schedule to come
Thank you.
and talk with me because it's been very helpful. And maybe we'll be able to do it again sometime.
Okay.
And maybe your children will get a chance to see the video.
All right.
Thank you.